Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to continue where we left yesterday, or the last episode of reading Screenplay for Neurutics. So last episode, we left on the Hollywood concept versus the personal statement. The cinema, let's just read it. The cinema is a big tent. It has room for popcorn, blockbusters, and tiny ideas. A lot of people think that the smart thing to do is to write the high concept movie, and there are certainly things to be said for it. Studios are looking for high concepts, hooky ideas that can be expressed in a single sentence, and movies that match the current successful formulas. High concept movies ideally are little familiar and little different. The Karate Kid, but the sumo wrestling but with the sumo wrestling, yeah, this is great. There are enough like things that have come before that they make the powers that be comfortable, but they are different enough not to seem tired. One way to achieve that is with blank means blank. Here is reflecting in my opinion, in my mind when I read this, is reflecting about the current state of especially like comic book movies, especially the Marvel formula. Like you can see in the Marvel formula, there is in every movie, maybe except the first phase, similar formula, especially with the comedy and with how the story goes. There's it gets tiresome after a while. Like you know what's happening, and especially with Thor: Love and Thunder. Like Thor: Love and Thunder is a complete parody. Is a complete joke. Everything about that movie is a joke. The best part of the movie we don't see him at all, except more few scenes. Which I'm talking about, of course, about Christian Bale as Gore, the God Killer. We don't see him like that much. We don't remember seeing him that much, and the whole movie was like, of course. Okay, this is not a review about God, Thor: Love and Thunder, but yes, let's continue. When people are pitching ideas or scripts in Hollywood, they often use something that producers, a producer's friend of mine calls. Sorry, when people are pitching ideas or scripts in Hollywood, they often use something that a producer friend of mine calls cross imitation. Timation, I don't know what it is. Cross-timation, I don't know what that word is, because of course I'm not a Westerner. I've come from Middle East, so English is not my first language, but I understand. Like this is they say that the script is something meets something else. With some things being hit movies, if you are trying to sell something based on its being like something else. Yeah, exactly. And we can see that as like Joker and Taxi Driver. I think Todd Phillips, one of his inspirations for Joker was Taxi Driver by Martin Scorsese. And you can see it in the cinematography of the movie. Yeah, if you're trying to sell something based on its being like something else, that something else had better have been successful. Exactly, like Taxi Driver and Joker. It's fun to combine hit movies randomly. The Avengers meet Gone with the Wind. This is a funny idea. Superheroes go back in time to the Civil War. Another method is to take stories that have been done before and make them over for today. This is like I hate this analogy. Like you can just take older movies and modernize them. And for me, I would like to take these old movies and try to bring them, not modernize them, try to make people, modern people, fall in love with them, not to change anything about them. Try to highlight what's working in these movies, why people love these movies, because we all get attached to crazy ideas, crazy stories. If it has that emotional connection, and when you can highlight a lot of these movies have emotional connections, have something unique that worked in the first place. So what I see a lot of companies do now, modernizing these movies takes a lot of from their heart and just ripping them apart. For me, taking movies and make these modern audience without changing anything in these original movies, making them fall in love with these movies and just try to tell them why these works, why people love them. However, sorry, where we were, yeah. Another method is to take stories that have been done before and make them over for today. 10 Things I Hate About You was based on the timing, the taming of the shrew. Clueless, Retreated, Jane Austen's Emma. There are tons of stories, ideas out there. Madame Bovary, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing something incorrect. Again, English is not my first language, just to say. So I don't have people like roasting, yeah, you should see it like that. Yeah, like Jane Bovary, Greek myths, and old plays that have fallen into the public domain. Ideas are in public domain and cannot be copyrighted. Yes, exactly. Even the copyrightable expressions of ideas eventually fall into public domain. So Dracula and Charles Dickens are easy pickings. Oh, it's talking about adapting these books and mythology into movies. Now it's again like mythology and books and sometimes video games are easy to adapt. They're all ideas, like the book says, in public domain. What the book is saying here, coming up with ideas is easy. You can come up with ideas fairly easy, but how to work it out, how to present it, how to make people connect with it is the difficult part, in my opinion. That's how I see it, at least. However, when borrowing from the classics, you cannot slavishly can slavishly follow the original plot. Story structure for an earlier time must be tailored to fit contemporary contemporary life, or else their story logic goes away. Like I'm okay with that. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm okay with that. If there's something about these stories is not understandable, you, like in modern audience can't understand these things. It's okay for me to come up with an idea and tailor it for modern audience. But I'm not in favor of taking these properties or taking these movies as just changing them, because a lot of what we see right now is just changing. There is recently a controversy about the Woman King and the history, how it's portrayed in the movie and how different it is, how completely different it is, like rewriting history. Like the history of the movie is totally different. Like the when I heard these stories, it blowed up on the internet, and I just wanted to follow and listen to historians, and went in myself said, "Is that okay?" Like when movies do that, like this is not just tailoring it for the modern audience. This is just making a purpose. Like I have an agenda. I want to change history for my agenda to show. I'm not into politics, to be honest. I'm fine with anything. Anything on screen, but when you're doing it like that, it doesn't come up as genuine for me, and doesn't feel like a person behind that project is artistic or cares about storytelling, or at least the craft of storytelling is not what his purpose, not coming to people with a genuine idea or genuine emotional connection. Yeah. Yeah, tailored for the summer. Yeah. So instead of a scarlet letter, Hester Prenny's problem would be finding affordable day care on the rock bottom wage that she gets in the service industry. Is the personal story best for the first time screenwriter? It's a good question. Personal, for me, I find it best because you're coming from things that you know. Well, let me say, not just this personal, knowing what you're good at. Some people are really into heist movies. Some people into gangs and like Martin Scorsese movies, like all of this, like gangs, Italian gangs and stuff. Some people good in mythology. Some people excel in personal stories. For me, where you can start with is what you're good at, what you know the best, what do you know about something. For me, I read a lot of mythology, so I know a lot about mythology, especially my mythology, like Middle Eastern mythology. I'm not experienced in it, but I know a lot more what one more than others know. And again, like if you go to video games in recent years, we have surge in Norse mythology, like God of War with two games, Hellblade, and between them, Assassin's Creed. All of it about Norse mythology. Norse mythology. Even if you don't know about it, you can recognize a lot about Norse mythology from these games alone, because it became something popular and people replicate it in their own way. Okay. Yeah, so the question is the personal story best for the first time writer? The high concept is usually big, which often means lots of action and special effects, so you need to sell it to a rich major Hollywood studio. It cannot be produced independently. Moreover, the high concept is usually harder to get right because it's something outside the writer's experience, often involving police inspectors, professional wear trainers, and nuns with nags for kung fu. You lose your momentum when you keep shipping to research, stopping when you keep stopping to research whales or to think up a clever whammy. For me, research is always good. Like when you research, you can know the fine details. Sometimes the small details in a video game or in a movie can give you, if are highlighted correctly, can give you certain feeling without saying anything, without a dialogue, just in the frame. I usually advise writers working on a first script that the high concept of genre is probably out of reach. Better to choose a small personal idea that's inspired by your own experience. Again, see your own experience and take place in the world that you know. Like I said, coming from what you're good at, what have more experience at, and most of us we experience things from our life, like the most messed up shit. The greater the movie, the messed up shit you have been through your life. That's of course not a rule. Yeah. So the idea can be tweaked to make it more high concept or hooky and may even fit into an existing genre as you develop it. Yes, exactly. Like you could start with the idea again with the right people around you. This idea can develop and maybe can be something else more greater than what you actually envisioned it. Like I remember watching Cory Barlog, the director for the first God of War 2018. and he talked, said, we envisioned God of War 2018 to be in like Egyptian mythology, but as the story and talking developed, they figured out that it should be in Norse mythology. It would be better to highlight the story more correctly, make it, give it the best treatment, and they were right. Yeah, great. But the important thing is that it should emerge from what you know, because that's what's easiest easiest to write. And right now, you need all the help you can get. Yeah. A lot can be said for personal stories. They are unique, they feel real. The sincerity, and depth of understanding shine through. Again, like I said, you understand the finer details, you understand what gives the most emotional response. If you choose to write characters based on people you know or types you know, and set your story in a mellow, I don't know this word, a mellow that you know, it will probably be deeper and more convincing. If you're writing a story, your story, out of your own experiences, things only you know, then you can write that story better than anyone else in the world. Even Tennessee Williams couldn't write about your mother better than you could, of course, because your life, your experiences and point of view are unique. Another advantage of writing about the kind of people you know is that you don't have to stretch to create their dialogue. You may speak English as a second language and feel that you don't have the verbal skills necessary to write screenplay unless, say, you write about a family that speaks English. Yeah, exactly, this is a good point. And that's, I don't see it highlighted much in other books, or maybe highlighted and just missed it. But if you're coming from personal experience, just the thought of let's say a situation, an accident, a memory about something that happened, you can just take that and convert it into a dialogue and just add the place and the time and night and day, inside, exterior, interior, and just keep adding to it until it feels alive. So when you read it, it feels like real. Exchange between Princess Margaret and Nalja. But you can certainly write a conflict between mom and dad over money. Writing the sincere personal story can help you find your voice. Producers love a unique new voice. Better writing means a better writing sample. Remember, producers are looking for good ideas and good writers, but if they had to choose, they would choose good writers. Oh, yeah, of course. Because a good writer can be hired to write one of the producer's ideas, or literally properties. Yeah. A well written script that isn't high concept and doesn't sell for $1 million can nevertheless be a great writing sample that wins contests, sorry, lands an agent and gets assignments. And if you don't have find a producer with a vision to love your unique new voice, well, the new digital technologies make independent production more attainable than ever. Of course, like you can go the independent route. Most importantly, the personal script is usually the best choice for the new writer because it's the easiest to write. I will stop on this because really I don't want to make it longer than 20 minutes. But there are some ideas I like about this, some ideas I don't like. The obvious thing that I don't like about it is modernizing stuff. Now it depends on the property, of course. Some of them I agree, you can modernize it to a certain degree, but in general I don't like it. Yeah. Recent movies, what happening today, and all the movies are a clear example. The other thing that I like about it is emphasizing the personal, coming from something you know, something you have experience in personal story, not just personal stories. If you are good at, well knowledgeable on some subject or subject, sorry, you can write about those because you know everything about them. And if not, research is always good. Like doing research, understanding. This is what a lot of people do before they, if they don't know about that subject they want to write about, they just research it until they get it right. So I like this idea of personal and emphasizing on it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please do not forget to like and subscribe and tell me your opinions, and I will catch you in the next one.